question on everybody's minds, including my own, is can she bounce back from this failure? But for the first time in Budget Eats history, we're dumping this shit. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Budget Eats. The theme this time is that's how much? As I'm sure we've all noticed, inflation has been insane and prices are skyrocketing. That being said, we're still keeping this episode at a $25 budget, and the theme, actually this time, is low FODMAP diet. As you know, we've done low carb, we've done vegan, we've done gluten-free, and we've gotten enough requests that we think it's time to do this one now. And if you're wondering what exactly FODMAP stands for, Fermentable Oligosaccharides, Disaccharides, Monosaccharides, and Polyols. Essentially, these are the different types of sugars that can be hard to break down for some people's bodies, and they get bypassed in the small intestine into the large intestine, where our gut bacteria chews on all of those indigestible sugars and then farts, aka ferments. And as that fermentation process happens, you get things like bloating and gas. Some people get constipation or the opposite of constipation. It's not this way for everyone, but quite a few of us are affected by it, and it just results in very unhappy things on a day-to-day basis. Especially if you suffer from conditions like IBS and other sensitive stomach issues. This might be a good elimination diet for you. One thing to note about the low FODMAP diet, it is a temporary diet. It is meant for you to diagnose and pinpoint exactly which foods trigger your unwelcomed symptoms, and then you slowly introduce the rest of those that don't bother you back into your diet for the long term. Obviously, with 1 week, we won't really have a scientific gauge on what foods are triggering or not triggering. It's more of an example of what you can do on this diet with the budget that you have. Like all our other episodes, you know? Unfortunately for us, there's quite a few Budget Eats staples that we won't be able to have this week. A big no-no is onions and garlic. Those are absolutely in the red for us on low FODMAP, not allowed in any amount, anywhere, in any form. We also can't have my favorite food group, the legumes, which includes peas, beans, lentils. We also can't be using any wheat, barley, or rye products. That includes flours, that includes a lot of different kinds of noodles. A lot of nuts are off limits, especially pistachios, especially cashews, but the bright spot, peanuts are allowed, even though they're a legume. They are still allowed, so you betcha we're gonna use some peanuts this week. Heck yeah. Some other common foods that you can't have on the low FODMAP diet includes a lot of dairy that are lactose heavy. You can't have apples, you can't have stone fruits, you can't have mushrooms. There's no avocados. There's no cauliflower, no broccoli, which eliminates really nice, cheap, and affordable produce like cabbage as well. The last group includes a lot of different kinds of sugars. Agave is a no-no, honey is a no-no, and a lot of sugar substitutes that end in OL, like xylitol. And since this week is supposed to be anti-inflammatory week, we decided that since so many of you asked for a no nightshades episode, we're gonna crash the two diets together, and we're gonna be eliminating that group as well. This means for us, no potatoes, no tomatoes, no to eggplants, and no to peppers. Thank goodness Aaron isn't home this week because he would hate this diet. For our lineup this week, we will be starting with some ingredients I have on hand already that have gone way past their sell-by and best-by dates. We have some buckwheat flour I got many moons ago from Georgia. Best market ever. You should go. We have a bag of cornmeal that I got at the beginning of the pandemic. Very expired. We have some mochiko flour, as well as a package of light green rice noodles. I also have a lot of eggs on hand, and you guys, egg prices are out of control, but the cheapest I did manage to find in my neighborhood, $1.39 for a dozen of mediums. So we'll just go ahead and pretend that I bought all of these, okay? We also have some newly purchased low FODMAP items. We have one $1 bunch of hairy amaranth, aka Huanzatl. I don't think I pronounced that right. We also have a bag of 5 oranges, 3 chicken thigh quarters from Very Sad Chickens, 1 Japanese sweet potato, 3 large carrots, 1 iceberg lettuce, 1 bag of bok choy, also $1, 3 turnips, 1 pineapple without the fronds on top, I'm not sure what happened there. And 1 jar of roasted peanuts with only peanuts and salt. I tried to find peanut butter. A lot of them had added sugars. A lot of the natural ones were out of our price range. So I figured, buy peanuts, grind them down, make peanut butter. And in case you're wondering why she's using sweet potato, that's because sweet potatoes are not a nightshade, because sweet potatoes are a very different plant than the potato. The more you know, the more you can eat. Brings us to a grand total of $25 on the dot. And before y'all go crazy on me saying you can't find these prices where you live, yes, I know, I live in Queens. If you watched the Budget Eats Q&A episode, you'd know a couple of spots I hit up. Maybe it's time for a visit. To begin, day 1 is always prep day. It's really cold outside today. I'm gonna turn my oven up to 375. We're gonna roast some veggies. Sweet potato, turnip, carrot, we're gonna wash it, we're gonna poke them with some forks, and we're gonna roast them. I find that roasting veggies often brings out the most sweetness in them, and this will eliminate some of the prep that I have to do later on in the week as well. And since our oven is on, I'm gonna roast some of our peanuts too. Yes, they are already roasted, but roasting them more brings out more flavor. Just make sure you don't burn them, obviously. 375, 5 minutes on the peanuts, maybe an hour or so for our veggies. I don't know if you quite recall, but the last time I used chicken on this show, the skins turned bad. So this time, day 1, we're gonna clean and prep our chicken. Learning from our mistakes little by little. Mom was on the side of wash your chicken before eating it camp, so I'm gonna wash my chicken, I'm gonna pat it dry, I'm gonna rub it with some salt. Rubbing the salt on them and letting them sit for a while, I'm hoping this would marinate them, just a tad bit. And then we'll fill that pot up with water and we're gonna poach our chicken. I'm not looking to fully cook the chickens here, just enough so that the meat slips off the bone so we can extract it to make stock. In the meantime, we're gonna wash and dry our poisson. When I saw this plant at the store, I actually didn't know what it was. I found it in a discount bin for $1 and I thought I need some greens. Why not? But with the help of Google and Wikipedia, I found out that this is actually an ancient grain. Some people say it's a superfood. It comes from pre-Hispanic times, native to Mexico. It is related to amaranth and quinoa, and it is very high in minerals, vitamins, protein even. And I tried to Google this, but I don't know if this is low FODMAP, but quinoa and amaranth both are, so I think we're safe. Ooh. You can see it looks a little bit like little broccoli sprouts, and it kind of tastes like it too, with a slightly soapy bitterness to it. And the leaves taste like spinach. It's like a 2-in-1 veggie. This is like the cutest flower bundle ever. I'm gonna pick out some of the more damaged looking leaves and then we'll strip it from the stems and put it in a plastic container. The stalks can be quite fibrous, so we'll be saving that for our stock. The flavor is a little bit like parsley, cilantro, and cream. If they're tender, you can eat it. We got the greener stuff on one side and the yellower stuff on the other. This one will have to go first. After some time, if you see chicken juice collecting at the bottom there, drain it before you boil your chicken. We're going to aim for when all the veggies are knife tender until their skins kind of separate from the flesh like this. Since we're not going to be having a lot of added sugars, I think caramelizing your vegetables this way is the best way to get those sweetness moments in. Once I start to see the water bubble a little bit, I'm going to turn the heat down to a low and let it go for about 10 to 15 more minutes. Then we're going to transfer the chicken out straight into an ice bath. We're going to let the chicken cool down a little bit before we start to extract the bone from within the meat. We're going to keep the skin with the meat. The bone goes back into the pot, and into the pot we're also going to go with some of our carrot peels and whatever other caramelized parts that we have from our roasted veggie tray, just to add a little bit more sweetness. I'll also be prepping our bok choy, which can have grit trapped in the bottoms of the stalk. So I'm gonna cut them open, I'm gonna rinse them, and then these bottoms are gonna go into our stock. These containers for the rest of the week. Now, because our chicken isn't fully cooked yet, I'm going to drizzle over some soy sauce just to preserve it in the fridge. And yes, soy sauce has both wheat and soybeans, both of which are not low FODMAP, but soy sauce is okay in 1 tablespoon amounts. Something about the fermentation process and what it does to the sugars that actually affect you on a low FODMAP diet, I don't know, not a food scientist. All right, I think we are ready to begin on meal 1. Even if Aaron's not here to taste test, the rules for this episode stay the same. I am still making as many meals as I can for 2 people. So here we go with peanut butter chicken lettuce cups. First thing, let's make some peanut butter. When you're making peanut butter at home, there's a high probability you're gonna burn out your motor, but just keep going, let the machine rest, scoop it up once in a while to clean off the walls, and put it back on until it comes into a paste, just like this. You want some peanut butter chicken, Fred? I guess he does. Next prep item, iceberg lettuce. We're gonna wash it, we're gonna dry it, we're gonna cut it up. Drop a comment down below if you always thought iceberg just tasted like water. No complaints though, because water can be delicious too. To make the chicken, chop your chicken up, medium skillet, medium heat, a little bit of oil until it's hot. Put it into the pan, add your spices. Here I'm going in with a little bit of black cardamom, black pepper, white pepper. For a little bit of golden color, I'm going in with a little bit of turmeric, and we're just going to stir fry it for about 4 minutes or so until that chicken is cooked all the way through. Now that our skillet has all that nice fond on the bottom, we're gonna go in with a little more oil. We're gonna go in with our hairy amaranth. We're gonna add a touch of salt to add a little heightened spice to it. Dried oregano is my spice of choice. You do you. And we're gonna stir fry it until that baby is tender. Look at the cool little grains that look like quinoa. Whoa. For the third component, we're gonna shred half a carrot. We're gonna toss it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of vinegar, and we're just gonna let it quick pickle. And finally, for the peanut sauce, we're gonna go very simply peanut butter, water, maple syrup, which is one of the few sweeteners you can have on the low FODMAP diet, and we're gonna go in with a little bit of grated ginger and season it to taste with more salt. Give it a nice mix until it's smooth and drizzleable, and we are set to assemble and eat. Ready? No trash. Hey! Get out of there. No trash, Freddy. Do you want to smell? What do you think? Looks pretty good to me. Very mushy. Very good. I gotta say that the turmeric makes the chicken taste more exotic, whatever that means. It seems to give it more of a creaminess, more of a savoriness, and just more of an intrigue. The pieces of chicken is just incredibly tender. And the crisp water blanket that is the lettuce works really well with those sauteed greens as well as the crunchy little carrots. There's 3 layers of creaminess here. Creaminess from the taste of the iceberg, creaminess from the peanut sauce, and creaminess from the chicken that is so silky tender. And you know what? This is gonna be a 9. It's a 9, folks. The only thing that I can think of that makes this better is pickled onions. Unfortunately, that's just not in our diet. Next up, it's time to strain our chicken broth and make some chicken and dumplings. After tasting our stock, I would say putting in the sweet potato peel was a mistake. There's a little bit of like soapy astringency off the top of your tongue, but otherwise pretty flavorful. To make our dumplings in a large bowl, I'm gonna go in with some cornmeal, mochiko, a little bit of baking powder, and kosher salt, along with some spices. I'm going in with dried oregano, fennel, fenugreek, black pepper, And then we're gonna whisk it all together until they're combined. Crack in 2 eggs, whisk that in, stream in a little bit of water until that dough comes together. And then we're going to let it rest for about 15 minutes until that dough is a little bit more hydrated, until you can see that it takes and holds its own shape. While we're waiting, into our pot of chicken stock, we're gonna go in with our roasted carrot. We're going to go in with a cup of our hairy amaranth. We're going to go in with a little bit of chopped chicken thighs. Then we're going to start dropping in our dumplings. I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons to shape rough balls and just drop it in as gently as I can. We're going to try to not stir it too much, otherwise the balls might fall apart. Unfortunately for me though, the balls fell apart anyway. I think this is because our balls aren't made of all-purpose flour, there's no gluten holding them together, and even the mochiko isn't enough to really keep it in that ball shape. To remedy this, I'm gonna try to shape the balls and drop them into a medium cast iron skillet over medium heat with a little bit of oil underneath it to get that kind of fried exterior. I'm thinking once we set the outside of the balls, maybe they'll hold their shape a little bit better once we drop them into that broth. I'm letting the corn balls kind of cook until all sides are golden, until you can have a little shell to keep it all inside. Then bring your dumpling mixture back to a boil, drop in those golden balls, and just let them cook all the way through until done. Hopefully, they stay. I can tell you right now that it smells really good. Whether or not it tastes really good, I don't know. Okay, broth is good. Hot. First impression, this is actually not bad for how sad it looks. The polenta, the cornmeal, has kind of turned into this creamy porridge texture in with the chicken broth. So you get a little bit of marriage between the two, and it's still somehow distinct. Very interesting, highly enjoyable. Our guacamole keeps giving us that kind of quinoa texture, really nice, a little tiny bounce, a little tiny pocket of surprise. The carrots, sweet, creamy, perfectly salty, nice, just nice, nice. Everything is seasoned so perfectly. I think I'm just really giddy because I thought this was a major failure, but it's actually quite edible. The dried oregano inside the dumplings was a really good move. It marries with that chicken broth flavor. It brings out the umami savoriness of the chicken. And overall, I'm gonna give this another 9. I just think this is really good, guys. What can I say? I succeeded against all odds of my own disbelief. Any day where I can lower my expectations is a good day indeed. I will see you guys tomorrow. Hello and welcome to day 2. Let's get cooking, shall we? Because we had 2 back-to-back chicken recipes yesterday, I'm thinking we go vegetarian for our first meal of the day. This open package of rice vermicelli that expired in May 2021 has been staring at me in the face all day yesterday, and I think we're gonna start our day with this one. I'm thinking we boil some eggs and make a vermicelli noodle bowl. First up, soft-boiled eggs. I like to take a little prick to the bottom of each egg very carefully, and then just bring a pot of water up to a boil, drop them in gently, and simmer them for about 6 minutes to 6.5. Because these are medium eggs, I think they're gonna go for a little bit shorter, maybe around 5.5. We'll see. The beauty of soft-boiled eggs is you never know what you're gonna get until you crack that shell open and meet your demise. Meanwhile, in another pot, we're gonna bring some water up to a boil, salt it lightly, and blanch our bok choy leaves. As soon as they look bright green and tender, we're gonna fish them out and we're gonna toss them in a little bit of sesame oil and a little bit of soy sauce. Once you think your eggs are done, drain them immediately. Put them into an ice bath, wait 5 minutes, and then crack it all over, put it back in the ice bath, and wait 10 more minutes. I find that this 2-stage cooling really helps that shell release cleanly. I'm going to go ahead, slice up our roasted veggies from yesterday, warm them in the microwave until they're nice and hot, and then take them out and season them with a little bit of salt. Finally, we're gonna make a little peanut sauce to go on top of all of this. In a bowl, I'm gonna stir together some peanut butter, soy sauce, water, orange zest, orange juice, and a little bit of vinegar. Go ahead and stir it until it's nice and smooth. Kinda smells like peanut butter and orange marmalade toast. Yum. And then all that's left to do is to cook the rice noodles. I'm gonna use our bok choy cooking liquid from earlier and just submerge the noodles in that hot liquid until they soften. These noodles are extremely thin, they don't need to cook for that long. And of course I saved the bok choy pandan rice noodle water. We're gonna rinse them in a little bit of cold water to chill them, and then we're gonna toss them in a little bit of sesame oil and soy sauce. For a little pop of color, I'm gonna take half a carrot, shred it. We're gonna put it in a bowl, mix it with some condiments, give it a stir, let it pickle. Maybe if you can't have pickled onions, pickled carrots is the next best thing. Okay, so I guess my pinprick method didn't really work this time around, but you know what? Once we cut them open, nobody will know. A little bit of salt on top of our eggs. Oh yeah. Are we ready? Look at those eggs. They may not have been the prettiest ones to peel, but man, they are gorgeous on the inside. Springy noodles. Let's try a bite with the bok choy first. Ooh, if I could get out my chopstick. Maybe I'm imagining it, but the orange and the peanut sauce and the pandan noodles kind of taste like mayonnaise. I'm gonna go ahead and just give this a nice little stir so that we get all the flavors melting together, including the egg yolks inside this noodle bite. Also gonna go a bite on the sweet potato here. The noodles are gentle, delicate, bouncy. The sweet potato super creamy with that soy sauce umami-ness running through that sweetness. I don't even know what to make of it. It almost tastes like fermented bean paste crossed with miso, crossed with bonito flakes. This dish, flavor profile wise, is giving me very fusion Chinese, Japanese, Thai mix. And I love it. The turnip is reading very summery, springy, parsnip. Very fresh. I can't get over how bouncy these noodles are. This feels very much like a peanut version of japchae with a lot of hearty vegetables and creamy egg, and I'm gonna give it a 9.2. Even though it's so simple, it's so fresh and it's so hearty and it's very filling without weighing you down. I mean, I'm eating this for breakfast and I might do it again. I'm gonna pack some up for Aaron's lunch and we're gonna move on to the next meal. I think today is the day we're gonna cook up some pineapple, folks. It smells ready. For some reason, this dollar pineapple that I bought came without that little hair top, but my friend tells me that if those leaves come off with a simple pluck, it's ready. However, you can also smell the bottom, and this smells nice and sweet and fragrant. One thing that I've always wanted to make that I've never tried is tapache, which uses the outside and the rind and the core of the pineapple to ferment into a little bubbly, slightly alcoholic, boozy drink. Usually you do it with organic pineapples, but I'm pretty sure this dollar one is not. And the reason why you want organic pineapple is because most people don't even wash the pineapple because of the naturally occurring yeasts on top of the surface. But just for my sake, you know, in the time of pandemic, we're gonna wash this baby. To make this drink, we're also gonna do a bit of a rule break because we're gonna be adding some piloncillo, which is this unadulterated pure cane sugar. Sugar is needed for fermentation to take place, otherwise the yeasts will have nothing to eat. And if they don't eat, they won't fart. And if they don't fart, you won't get bubblies. I'm just gonna take a large clean jar. I'm gonna put all of my pineapple discard in there, fill it up with nice cold water, and drop in Piancillo. As with most fermentation, all you have to do now is wait. Cover it with a coffee filter so it can breathe a little without any debris getting in, and just give it a little shake and agitation every now and then. Wait 3, 5, 7 days. Just keep waiting until it bubbles. Go ahead and trim out the little eyes, and you'll have a beautiful pineapple ready to eat. As for the rest of the pineapple, I'm thinking pineapple orange chicken. There was one end of the pineapple that was a little bit more tart and astringent, and there was another part that was sweeter and more ripe. We're gonna use the sweeter part for this stir fry. A lot of people find the core a little bit fibrous and tough, so we're gonna cut it away and save it for another recipe. We're going to zest a couple of oranges and juice them as well. And then in a medium skillet over medium heat, we're gonna drop in some oil. We're going to go ahead and bloom some spices. That includes fennel seeds, nigella seeds, fenugreek, white pepper, asafoetida, aka hing. And we're gonna go in with our juices and our pineapple. And we're just gonna cook it until that syrupiness comes out. Last thing to go in is our chicken cubed from yesterday. To add a touch of color to our dish, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of oyster sauce. This will flavor it too. And a touch of vinegar for acidity. When your chicken is cooked all the way through and that sauce is hugging all around it, go ahead, take it off the heat, throw in a pinch of that citrus zest and fold it in. Next up, we're gonna fry up some greens. First batch is gonna be bok choy. We're seasoning with just oil, salt, keeping it simple. Second batch is gonna be our hairy amaranth. Again, oil, salt, maybe a little bit of soy sauce. And finally, iceberg. Now, sauteed iceberg is one of those things that my dad did when I was in high school and I hated it. But recently a couple of people told me that they love it and it's like a very Cantonese thing, so I figured, why not? I'm 32. Let's give it another try. I think for the iceberg, in addition to the oil and the salt and the soy, I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of white pepper as well. Never did I ever think I would voluntarily eat stir-fried lettuce again, but here goes. Cheers, mates. Needs a little more salt, but I gotta say, not terrible. I don't know who I am anymore, but I don't hate stir-fried iceberg anymore. The texture is a little bit more crisp than your fried cabbage, but the flavor is a lot creamier. The white pepper gives it a hint of smokiness and it just makes it very mature tasting in a good way. Time for pineapple. Sweet, delicious. This combination is pretty bomb. All of the Indian spices that we used makes this dish very snacky tasting is the best way to describe it. It has a little hint of MSG running through the whole thing, a little bit of soy running through the whole thing, and overall, it is just like you called takeout and they knew how to season it perfectly. Pineapple is super juicy, the meat is still tender, not too tough because we use dark meat. The nigella gives it a little oniony kick without any onions, and the hing, I think that's what's the magic here. Let's take a moment to give thanks to the almighty hing for its very farty, pungent flavor. The bok choy tastes pretty traditional, stir-fried veg. This hairy amaranth, this is rocking my world right now. It is taking on a different flavor every time we cook it. This has absorbed a lot of the wok hei that we had in there. Very smoky, very soy-based. It almost tastes like water spinach in flavor right now, still with that little kind of bubbly texture. I'm gonna give this dish a 9.5. This is perfect. I don't even know why it's not a 10. Probably because we don't have rice right now. Just look at that. Look at that silkiness. Leftovers packed, on to meal 3. You know what I just realized? We haven't used the buckwheat yet. Let's make some blinis. In a bowl, we're gonna pour in some lukewarm water. We're gonna go in with some yeast, a little bit of maple syrup to bloom that yeast. We're going to go in with a little bit of our peanut butter and a little pinch of our orange zest. Then we're going to dissolve that and make sure everything's nice and whisked together before we go in with our buckwheat flour and our mochiko. Give it a nice stir, and then we're gonna crack in 2 eggs. Go ahead and whisk it until it's nice and smooth and incorporated. Isn't that right, Fred? Oh, no, okay. A tiny pinch of salt, a little stir to make sure everything's combined, and we cover and let it sit until it kind of starts to poof. And in the meantime, how about some pineapple curry? If we're gonna make curry, we gotta make curry powder, but this time without any onion powder or garlic. In their place, I'm just gonna add some nigella seeds for that oniony kick. We already have a curry powder mix recipe for you. We'll link it in the description box below. Into our large pot, I'm gonna dump in all of our spices, and we're gonna let it toast over low heat until you smell them. We're gonna drop in some oil and let them bloom in there. Once our curry powder is fully bloomed in the oil, I'm gonna go in with our leftover orange zest, give that a stir. We're gonna go in with our roasted turnips that we cut into cubes, our carrot, some bok choy, some of that pineapple core that is going to take a while to cook. I think it's gonna be perfect in here. We're also going to pour in a little bit of chicken stock as well as our leftover bok choy braising liquid from this morning. To help thicken our curry up, I'm going to shape our leftover corn dumplings from yesterday. I'm gonna give them a sear in our cast iron skillet until they're nice and golden and crusty on the outside. And then I'm gonna plop them into our curry, see if that starch does any thickening wonders. We're just gonna let it all bubble away until it looks nice and luscious. Towards the end of your cooking process, when it looks nice and silky smooth, go ahead and season to taste, salt, MSG, whatever you want. Just no onion and no garlic. To cook the blinis, go ahead, wait for that batter to get nice and bubbly, mix it in a little bit so that it's smooth, and in your cast iron skillet over medium heat, drop in some oil, coat the bottom, then drop in big tablespoons of that batter to make mini pancakes. Go until you see bubbles rise to the top of the surface, then give it a gentle little flip. Wait until both sides are lightly golden and you are set to eat. I'm not quite sure if there's a difference between pancakes and blinis, but man, these are cute blinis and pancakes, whatever you want to call them. And they smell good too. Definitely could benefit from a little extra sugar and a little extra salt, but we have more batter we can play with tomorrow. As is, very earthy. Reminds me of munching on stones. Not that I've ever done that before. Obviously the texture is very plush, very soft, very cloud-like, but the taste, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe it'll be better with our curry. Might be too late, but just sprinkle on some salt. Hope it dissolves. It's a little brown on brown, but I think it'll be delicious. Let's give a try on our corn dumpling version 2. The flavor of the corn dumplings is so heavy on the chicken. Delicious. Let's get a blini bite. A little bit of everything. How do I say this without being mean to myself? The flavor isn't bad. It's also not great. The pineapple's acidity is a little bit distracting. If you're a fan of mango chutney, you might actually like this dish, but for me, I've never been a huge fan. Carrots, however, perfectly creamy tender. The bok choy and the turnip, pleasant enough. I would say the star of this dish is yesterday's leftover. These corn dumplings that we made for the chicken broth, still so good. Might be even better today. There's just something so buttery about that flavor inside the dumplings that I'm not getting from the buckwheat or the curry. While the consistency and the color and everything really looks fantastic, I think I can only give this dish a 6.5. Ah well, we were always bound to hit a wall sometime. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning, welcome to day 3. Let's make some noodles. We still have a lot of this buckwheat flour, so naturally I'm thinking soba. One thing to note though, soba is a noodle that is buckwheat and all-purpose for the most part. It's going to be extremely hard for me to make a cohesive dough out of this very branny buckwheat, so we gotta sift it first. To get out the little flecks of bran, I'm gonna need a fine mesh strainer, and I'm just gonna tap that flour until all the bran is captured inside here. So we got the bran in one bowl, and the less branny flour in another bowl. The magic of sifting your flour, it gives you more flour. I'm also not sure why, but this buckwheat flour smells like burnt rubber tires. To give our buckwheat dough a little bit of glue, I'm gonna be taking some mochiko, adding some salt and water to it in a small pot, and we're going to cook it until it turns into the sticky roux. Keep stirring it until it comes together, and this is your literal glue. We're gonna plop that hot ball of dough into our buckwheat flour, and we're going to gently roll that buckwheat flour into that rice dough. I'm aiming for a fairly tough, hard dough here so that it's easier to roll out and cut. Keep kneading that dough until it's nice and smooth and until your fingers can sink into it without sticking to it. Put it back in your bowl, cover it, let it rest while you prep your veggies. Soba noodles, soba noodle soup. We're gonna go heavy on the veggies, but we're also gonna add a little bit of chicken. I'm gonna cut up some of our roasted turnip and our bok choy, and we're gonna carve little tiny carrot flowers too. Since it's so bare bones, I figured put a little flourish on it to make it look prettier. Chop your chicken up, put it into a pot, add some chicken stock, and let it simmer until the veggies are soft. Go ahead and give that broth a taste, and if it needs seasoning, you know what to do. If you wanna give your broth a little more body, I hope you save that mochiko water because that's gonna come in handy. Stream in a little bit of that to thicken that soup up. To make our noodles, take your buckwheat dough, split it in half or thirds, whatever is more manageable, and roll it out thin with a rolling pin. As you're rolling, we're gonna dust it with a combination of buckwheat and mochiko, just so that the layers are distinct, just so that it's not sticking anywhere to your board or to your rolling pin. Once you have it out thin, dust it again with some more flour, roll it up a little bit, and then cut through with a sharp knife. The problem with a gluten-free dough like this is it really doesn't have holding power, so once your knife stamps through the layers, it might be hard to pull them apart. If they break, don't worry. There's always a way to fix things. I basically just scrunch them back into a dough ball, and I roll them in between my palms until they turn into a little snake. Just another kind of noodle, you know? Might even be chewier this way. If you don't want to take any chances with breaking noodles though, it's best to keep your dough in a single layer and slice through in one fell swoop. Once you have your noodles, whatever shape they may be in, bring a pot of water up to a boil, add a little bit of salt, and boil them for just about 1 minute until it's soft and al dente. Fresh noodles, especially thin ones like this, never take that long to boil. Once they're done, take them immediately and plop them into an ice bath. Okay, maybe there isn't always a fix. Sadly, it looks like all of our noodles broke apart in the cooking process. Yikes. Wow, what a spectacular fail. Okay folks, well, Wednesday's not up to a good start. Tastes pretty good though. I'm gonna try to give our snaky boys a cook and see if they fare any better. I don't think so. I think they did a tiny bit better, but they are still quite broken. This might be one of the biggest fails on Budget Eats ever. I'm not quite sure what happened. I've never seen any dough do this before where it retains the shape of the noodle but falls completely apart in the cooking process, but I'm gonna say there's just still too much bran in the buckwheat and not enough gluten. I'm gonna try one last ditch effort. I'm going to steam them. Then you add in the agitation of boiling water, just too much for it to handle. I suppose two things I could have done differently was to work the dough a little bit more and to make them thicker. Maybe they would have held more structurally intact. A little better, huh? It looks kind of pretty, but to be honest, I'm so stressed I have a stomach ache right now. Oh boy. What a day. Truly a hump day. The flavor of the broth is excellent. The vegetables have sat in that broth for so long. It's soaked up all the flavors. Everything's nicely melded together. But damn, those noodles suck. The texture is very pasty. There's no real bounce. It's kind of dead. And honestly, I still taste some of that burnt rubber tire. Sounds like that sound outside right now. But at least there's a vegetable soup with the chicken, and that is delicious. I thought I'd plate up our snaky boys and see how they taste, but they kind of disintegrated even more as soon as they sat in that broth. So this recipe, I do not recommend you try to replicate at home. It is a failure. That being said, I think the soup kind of redeems it a little bit. I'm gonna give it a 6.3. Which is a shame because without the noodles, this would have been a solid 7.8. The question on everybody's minds, including my own, is, can she bounce back from this failure? I guess you'll have to stay tuned and see, but for the first time in Budget Eats history, we're dumping this shit. If I weren't too tired to, I would be crying right now. But onwards we go. Alright y'all, let's take a break from buckwheat and let's head on over to cornmeal land. I'm thinking for our next meal, we can make a cornbread-based sandwich. I'm going to preheat our oven to 400 degrees. I'm going to toast our remaining peanuts, and we're gonna get started on a cornbread batter. To make the cornbread in a bowl, we're gonna combine our cornmeal along with mochiko as well as baking powder, baking soda, 1 teaspoon of pumpkin spice salt, if you know you know, along with some oregano, fennel seed, and coriander, as well as black pepper. For our moisture, I'm going to crack in 2 medium eggs. I'm gonna go in with the remainder of our mochiko water from this morning, as well as a little bit of vinegar and chicken stock. Give it all a nice mix until everything's cohesive, and then go ahead and grease your pan. I'm using an 8x8 cake pan. You can use whatever size you want. The shallower the batter sits, the shallower and crispier your bread. Smooth it out, slide it in, let it bake. While the cornbread bakes, we're gonna make another batch of peanut butter. Bake until you see the sides start to pull away from your pan and a toothpick comes out mighty clean. I'm gonna let this cornbread cool off and then we can slice it, have it, and sandwich it. What's going in the sandwich, you ask? I'm thinking a little bit of sweet potato, peanut butter obviously, crunchy iceberg, and some pickled carrots. Carrots, you know the deal, shred it, vinegar it, salt it. For a little touch of sweetness, we're gonna squeeze in a little bit of orange juice as well. Mix it all up and let it sit. As for the sweet potato, I think we're going to turn it into a creamy paste. We're gonna go ahead and mash it up with a little bit of orange zest as well as maple syrup, pumpkin spice, salt, and black pepper as well as cinnamon. Oh, and nutmeg. Once you have all your components, all that's left to do is to spread it on thick. Slice your cornbread in half, peanut butter on all the slices, one side gets carrot, the other gets sweet potato. And one of my first jobs working in food was at a sandwich shop, and the best piece of advice, thank you Joey, was even layers, even coverage for the best sandwiches of your life. Lettuce goes in the middle and then slap them shut. It's a little thick. This sandwich leans into the fall neutrals and it tastes like it too, except for the carrot that is bright and perky with vinegar and orange juice and that crunchy, fresh iceberg. Peanut butter and the sweet potato mash are really, really thick, so get a drink ready. This definitely treads that really delicious line between sweet and salty, and I can just feel this working so well with hot chili oil, but we can't do peppers. Otherwise, this is probably a sandwich that I can return to again and again. The cornbread is well spiced with specks of spices like fennel seeds, and you know, just overall, texturally very exciting. I think I'm gonna give this one like an 8. 8 sounds good. Up next, I think we're gonna make some pad thai. There's a lot of variations on pad thai, and I don't have shrimp, but I do have belacan, which is shrimp paste, so close enough. What do you think? Is it gonna taste good? It's gonna taste good. To start, we're gonna place our skillet over medium heat, drop in some oil, and we're gonna fry up that belacan to really warm up that flavor. Crush it with our wooden spatula, and then we're gonna go in with our shredded carrot, a little bok choy. We're going to go in and season that with white pepper, orange juice, fish sauce, soy sauce, and we're gonna stir fry that all together until that sauce looks nice and thickened. We're going to go in with our chicken just until it's cooked all the way through, and we're gonna transfer it out of the skillet. Back on the medium heat, we're gonna drop in some more oil to stir fry our guacamole. Am I saying it right? I don't know, but hairy amaranth with soy sauce, it was delicious yesterday, so we're gonna do it again today. Go until it's nice and dark, foresty green, tender, a little bit limp, and really shiny and slick. Transfer that out of the skillet, a little bit of oil, and we're gonna crack our last 2 eggs into the skillet. Turn down your heat immediately, scramble it with a little bit of salt, season your eggs with a little bit of white pepper, and then put everything back in the skillet and move it off the heat. We're going to go ahead and crush up some peanuts for topping, and then we're going to boil our noodles. Again, when you're cooking these tiny vermicelli noodles, you're not really boiling them, as you are submerging them in boiling water for about 1 to 2 minutes, draining, and then soaking in your ice bath. Drain completely, put those noodles into your skillet, give everything a nice little tossy toss, taste for seasoning, add more if you wish, whatever you want, and then plate. Top with peanuts, ready to eat. Well, this looks like a better noodle dish than the one we started out with today. Let's hope it tastes as good as it looks. Oh, it smells really good. Twirling it like spaghetti, which apparently you're not supposed to twirl either. I don't know. That bite was too big, but it is a delicious bite. All the layers of smokiness and the layers of umami and salt from the shrimp paste and the fish sauce and the soy sauce and just char. Toasted peanuts. Silky, bouncy pandan vermicelli. Sweetness from the carrots, sweetness from the chicken, sweetness from the noodles themselves, and the peanuts. Nutty as ever. I added some rice wine vinegar at the end to really peak up that acidity that's missing because we're not using limes. I really miss the lime juice here. There's really no sugariness from the orange juice either. It's a very mild, natural one. So as far as whether or not this reminds me of pad thai I've had before and loved, not quite. But in terms of budget eats meal, I'm gonna give this one a 10. Wednesday. Started from the bottom and now we're here. Okie doke. I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Freddie decided that the first thing he was going to do today was to eat his breakfast and throw it back up all over his scratching post, so my day is going great. Welcome to Thursday, y'all. It's a really nice spring day outside, and I'm thinking first things first, let's try to get some snacks going. Take it easy. Breathe. Drink water. I'm going to heat up my oven, and we're going to try to roll out that leftover buckwheat dough into crackers, maybe smoosh some crushed peanuts and salt on top. And then for our blini batter, I'm thinking maybe we can try to make some sort of a popover situation happen. Don't know. We're just going to bake it. Oven to 400 degrees. We're going to grease our muffin tin. I remember this being undersalted, so we're going to add a little bit of salt. And let's try to jazz it up with some spices too. A little cumin, a little fennel, a little allspice. Top it off with a little extra salt, and we wait. We're just gonna slide it in until hopefully they bake into something. Not quite popovers, but I do believe they are done. Aaron, you wanna try a really weird buckwheat muffin?
It wouldn't be Budget Eats without you prefacing it with really weird. Is goat butter FODMAP, June?
I have no idea, but just don't exceed over a tablespoon. That seems like the magical amount.
But I always eat a tablespoon of butter per
That's
bite.
disgusting. That is so much butter. Okay. Jesus Christ. So this muffin is made from a pancakey kind of batter. So for your last one, you can put butter and maple on it if you want.
I'm trying to figure out what the flavor in that is. It tastes almost like a curry muffin.
Yes.
Are there spices in there?
Yes.
This has the chew of something that tastes like it should be sweet, but it has the flavor of a savory muffin. So every time you taste something in June's Budget Eats, it's like going to a Michelin, 3-star Michelin restaurant where everything's not quite what you expect. So I have to sort of let my preconceptions go and just enjoy it for what it is.
So you don't like it is what you're saying.
I do like it. I just have to let my preconceptions go first.
Let them go, folks. Let them go.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie, are your preconceptions gone?
My rating is preconceptions blown.
Oh my god. Go away. Goodbye. Have a good
Bye.
day. So folks, next time you have leftover pancake batter and you just don't want any more pancakes, why not go ahead and give them a bake? Salty. With a touch of butter, flavor is perfect. The butter really rounds out that kind of harshness and earthiness of the buckwheat, and in addition, it makes that cumin pop. So good. I would say without butter, these are maybe like a 6.9, but with butter, 7.8. In the meantime, I baked our crackers at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes or so, nice and golden on the edges, dry and snappy when it comes out, and we are ready to taste. We already know this did not make noodles at all. It was horrible, but maybe it makes good crackers. It almost smells a little bit almond extract-y. I like it. Fred, what do you think? Is it better than yesterday? Licky boy? Okay, that's a maybe. I like how much peanuts we added on there. The salt is a really nice touch, really picks up the flavors, and could have gone a little bit thinner, but at this stage, I'll take it. Super enjoyable. I'm gonna give this one an 8.1. For our first proper meal of the day, I'm thinking some stuffed corn cakes. To make our masa dough in a small pot, we're gonna combine some cornmeal with an equal amount of our chicken stock, and we're gonna stir and cook it until it gelatinizes. It forms this dough that really rolls itself into a ball, and that's when you know it can come off the heat and be transferred into a bowl. Into that bowl, you're going to let it cool a little bit before adding in an equal amount of corn flour and then just working it in with your hands. Be careful, this is hot. Once the dough comes together, add in a little bit of salt, knead it in, add in a little bit of baking powder, knead that in, and keep kneading until that dough can form into a round ball. Dimple your finger into it. If it doesn't stick too much, it's ready to go, and we can let it rest. To make the filling for our stuffed corn cakes, we're gonna stir fry together all the remaining vegetable ingredients that we have along with our chicken. We're gonna be chopping up real fine our bok choy, our hairy amaranth, our carrots, and we're gonna stir fry it in a little bit of oil, our cooked vermicelli along with the chicken, season it with some oyster sauce, maybe a little bit of white pepper, and just go until everything's nice and tender. Give it a taste, and if you don't like it, add more spices. Let your filling cool off a little, and in the meantime, divide your corn dough into 10 pieces. Roll them into little balls, squish them flat between parchment, and then go ahead and roll them out to about 3.5–4 inches. It's okay if you have some big, some small. In fact, that's gonna help you, because if you put the small on the bottom, the top one being bigger, you can fold them in without cracking the surface too much. Either way, it's fine. Some of them will look more rustic than others. I wouldn't go more than 2 tablespoons of filling at one go. It'll just explode. You want to make sure you're doing your best, smushing the edges shut so that you get a nice little seal. I don't know how these are gonna fry, but hopefully they won't fall completely apart on me. Please. Skillet or griddle, medium heat, splash of oil, and let them go. If they do crack, don't worry. The dough is fairly malleable. Just pinch off a little bit from the edge, patch it right on top, hope it stays. So corny in the best way possible. Hot. That toastiness from the burnt golden bits of the masa. Oh yeah. The filling inside reminds me of little tiny steamed buns my grandma used to make when I was younger. It used to have just all sorts of veggies inside, cabbage, carrots, tofu, vermicelli, and this is kind of very nostalgic for me. Outside is crunchy, inside is hot and gooey, and you know what? I kind of love this. I mean, are you hearing that crunch? I would say this is nutritious, it's kind of beautiful in a rustic way, and it's very colorful. I'm gonna give this one an 8. I think if we had any sort of hot sauce, chilies, a little bit of condiment, creamy dips, this would have automatically been like a 9.2, but we don't. I do have this almost dead bottle of Kewpie though, so we're really gonna just milk it. But if you don't want to break rules like I just did, peanut butter, I think, would also go really well. Yes, believe it or not, peanut butter actually tastes better than mayo on this. I know, mind blown. All right, folks, I think we're starting to wind down our long and winding journey. In terms of ingredients that we have left, we have pineapple, peanuts, and peanut butter. iceberg lettuce, mochiko, as well as buckwheat flour and buckwheat bran, uncooked pandan rice noodles, 2 oranges, leftover cornbread, leftover mashed sweet potato, and leftover pandan noodle cooking liquid. It's gonna be some weird meals, y'all. My brain is screaming salad. Cook me. Or don't cook me, because it's a salad. I think I want to cube up this cornbread and fry it until it's nice and golden, and we'll use them as kind of like hefty panzanella pieces. I'm also going to see if we can fry this into crispy little thingies. For the toasted cornbread, cast iron skillet, coconut oil, heat it up, throw in your cubed cornbread and let it sear on all sides until nicely golden brown and delicious. When they're done, obviously they're golden, but you should also be smelling a lot of toasty corn aromas. For our rice crackers, in a small skillet, coconut oil, we're gonna slide in our pandan noodles and see if they kind of bloom. Unfortunately, it took me until my last batch to discover that they crisp up way better if you break them up, because we're not really deep frying them. There wasn't enough oil to go around to really crisp up every single piece of that big plank, but still crispy. While they're nice and hot, hit them with some salt. If you want a deep crunch, go with a shallow fry. If you want a light, wispy, airy crunch, go with a deep fry. To assemble your salad, go ahead and chop up your iceberg, throw it in a large bowl, throw in your bread cubes, go ahead and make a salad dressing. We're just gonna go with some peanut butter, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of orange juice just to loosen it to desired consistency. For a little extra flavor in our dressing, I'm gonna add in a little bit of pineapple juice as well as our pandan cooking liquid, and this is looking pretty good. Perky. I'm going to go ahead and cut up the rest of our oranges and slide them into the salad as well for a little bit of sweetness. Go ahead, drizzle that dressing all over, give that bowl a nice big toss until everything's nicely coated, and then plate and top with your crispy rice noodles. This smells really good. This slaps. Gosh darn it, it works. The juicy fleshiness of the oranges with the crunch and the wateriness of the lettuce with the crunch of the cornbread and the spices in the cornbread, the fragrance that is exploding with the moisture that is soaking into it. And then you have the rice cracker. Y'all, what is this bite even? It's like a multi-dimensional experience of texture, transcendence. Don't forget that the noodles are pandan flavored and we fried everything in coconut oil, so there is that completeness of creamy, tropical, heavenly. Just heavenly what? I don't know. Heavenly. No words. Again, this might be because I was expecting a pure trash meal out of all the ingredients that we had, and I had no idea that all the flavors and the textures could come together like this, but I am pleasantly surprised. And what is there to do but to eat everything with vigor? It is fresh and oily. It is soft and crunchy. It is all the paradoxes of life in one bowl, and I'm gonna give this a 9.9. Why is it missing a 0.1, you ask? I don't know. Scores are arbitrary. Don't ask me why. All I know is if you've never made cornbread panzanella, now's the time, guys. Alright, y'all. I think the time has come for one final dish, and this time I'm thinking it's gonna be dessert. We have some rice flour, so why not make some tangyuan again? But this time, inside it'll be peanuts, sweet potato, and maybe pineapple jam? Yeah, Fred. Everybody has an opinion these days. What do you think? Do you think it'll be good? Yeah, I think it'll be weird too. We got our sweet pineapples. I'm gonna cut half of them up into tiny little cubes, and then I'm going to cook the other half down into a jammy compote. In the meantime, to make our tangyuan dough, I'm going to set the pandan cooking liquid to a boil. We're going to dump all of the mochiko flour into a bowl, and we're gonna stream in enough of that boiling pandan liquid just until that dough comes together. You don't wanna go too heavy with the water because you will be kneading this dough. It will come together even though it looks very dry right now. Set that dough aside to rest while we mash up our sweet potatoes, our peanuts, and our peanut butter. If you're wondering at this point what she's gonna do with that buckwheat flour and bran, she's not. I'm giving up on it. You get to live another day. Once you've got your paste, go ahead and shape it into small balls. We're going to freeze it so that the shaping process is easier. Periodically, if you notice your pineapple is running dry, go ahead and pour in some of that pandan liquid just to help ease that burning. Hopefully this will infuse the pineapple with a little more fragrance as well. Once your pineapples are darkly golden and caramelized, go ahead, use a potato masher and just mash them up. Crush through the remaining structure to help it jamify. To shape the tangyuan, take your dough, cut it in half, roll each half into a rope, and then cut each rope into 1-inch pieces. Smush it flat between your hands, palms, and fingers. Plop your ball of frozen filling in the middle, and then meet all the edges together at the top. Pinch away any excess dough and roll it smooth. It will really help you to have damp hands throughout this entire process to avoid sticking. All that's left to do right now is to bring our pandan liquid back to a boil and let these cook. Smells so lovely. Soothing. I wish the peanut butter taste were a little bit stronger, but most of it was actually just sweet potato mash. The fresh pineapple gives it a tart sweetness, kind of like cranberry. And then the cooked jammy pineapples taste a bit like apricot jam. Each bite is just so luxuriously soft. So comforting. It smells almost like a buttery shortbread cookie. I mean, pineapple is really tropical to the max, but somehow in this warm, soupy context, it reads very holiday to me. I'm gonna give this an 8.5. If we upped the peanut butter and actually added apricot jam to this, I might lose my mind. But as is, not too shabby. Well, y'all, thus ends another week of Budget Eats, and I believe this is our first 4-day week. You're welcome, Zach. A very big thank you to all of you who recommended the FODMAP diet, and if you have any other dietary restrictions that you want to see on the next episode of Budget Eats, drop us a comment down below, won't ya? Until next time, get boozed. Oh, and can you tell me why my buckwheat soba noodles failed so bad? Thank you.